What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over this week, and the first big story here comes from GMC, who officially revealed their big Super Bowl announcement here, which is the Hummer EV. And yes, it's going to be sold under the GMC brand here, at least for now. So they shared some big numbers to go along with this reveal here. It's going to have 1,000 horsepower, 11,500 pound-feet of torque, but that's wheel torque, so that's not how it's usually measured at the crank. So that's an interesting thing to note there. And then 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Now that torque figure is something a lot of other electric companies like Tesla and all them like doing to inflate that number. Still, it's going to have a massive amount of torque, but it's not fair to compare that with like the 1,000 pound-feet of torque that the Ram Heavy Duty has, for example. But still, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds for a Hummer is crazy. So the power of electric vehicles, it's nuts. So anyway, the teaser image here looks very cool, and the video showing off how those lights come on and come to life is very awesome. And it shows, an aggressive and futuristic design that retains many of the old Hummer family traits, I think, but nicely modernizes them. And so anyway, they're going to have a Super Bowl commercial with LeBron James, supposedly, and that may reveal a little bit more here this Sunday. But the full reveal is going to be happening on May 20th, and they say it's going to be available fall of 2021. So like most of these electric cars, there's a little bit more of a lead time than what you get on normal stuff. But it's going to be built in Michigan at the Detroit Hamtramck plant, and they're calling it a super truck in the press release, and say it'll have incredible on- and off-road capability. So excited to see more, but yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the developments as they happen. Some other exciting GM news here this week is a rumor about faster versions of the Cadillac CT4-V and CT5-V. So we've already heard, obviously the Vs are now the lower entry-level models that used to be called V Sport. And so now those ones are just called Vs, and there's going to be a new top trim, although we don't know what that's called yet, but a faster version of the V. And recently a rumor has popped back up that I guess resurrects this idea that they're going to use carryover engines from the ATS-V and the CTS-V, and that's old news. I don't think there's anything new about that. Originally, there was plans to put the Blackwing V8 in the CT5 at least for that V version, but it won't fit in the engine bay, and that engine also probably isn't going to continue to live on since the CT6 is going to get killed off. So yeah, so it makes sense to just carry over the engines. Everyone loves those engines anyway, no reason to kill them off. And so yeah, that's something that I don't know why it's been in the news again recently, because I thought that was old news. But the actual new thing here is about the transmissions they're going to be offered. So that's the new thing we have here, as this report comes from Muscle Cars and Trucks, and they don't claim to have, they don't say where their source is, or but they're just claiming in this article that both cars are going to be available with manual transmissions. And for the CT4-V, that's not a big deal, because the ATS-V already had a manual, and while I'm very much happy they're continuing on with the manual, it's not super shocking that they're going to have it, since it is, again, carryover stuff as far as mechanicals go. But for the CT5-V to have a manual is big news, because the CTS-V hasn't had a manual since the 2015 model year, which was the last year of that second generation. And so third gen was automatic only, and so to bring back a manual will nicely differentiate this from all the competitors, which are all automatic only. And so the Cadillac could be the driver's vehicle of the bunch. I'm sure they're going to also offer an automatic, but great that they're going to have the manual. As far as what manual they'll use, considering that LT4 engine is paired up with a 6-speed manual in the Camaro ZL1 and with a 7-speed manual in the previous gen now Corvette Z06, it could be either the 6-speed or the 7-speed. I'm inclined to think it's going to be the 7-speed, just because you have an extra overdrive gear, which will help you with better highway fuel economy ratings and things like that. So my bet is the 7-speed, but we'll have to wait and see which one it goes with if this does turn out to be true. I really hope it does, though, because that would be fantastic. Other stuff here. So other Cadillac news, actually, they revealed that the next gen version of the Super Cruise system is going to be coming here to the new Escalade, as well as the CT4 and 5, which we already knew that they were going to get a new version of Super Cruise, but now we know it's going to have lane change and also be in the Escalade. And so unlike the few other companies that offer this feature, the Cadillac is the only one here that lets you do it without having your hands on the steering wheel. And Super Cruise is the only hands-free system still, and that's why in my CT6 review, I said it's probably the most luxurious vehicle you can buy if you do a lot of highway cruising, because it gives you hands-free driving, and no one else offers that. Not even Bentley, Rolls-Royce. Everything else forces you to have your hands on the steering wheel, except the Cadillac. So, awesome that they're going to continue to expand that, and they didn't give any exact dates for all that kind of stuff, but at some point this year it should be available. Other stuff here, Lincoln this week, competitor to Cadillac here, they officially announced that their first EV is going to be built on the Rivian platform, which we already knew, but now they've officially confirmed that it will be a Lincoln. There was speculation it could be a Ford as well, but it is going to just be a Lincoln here, and it's the first product from this Ford-Lincoln partnership with Rivian, where Ford invested a ton of money into Rivian. And so all we have for right now is this new logo and the way that it illuminates and turns on there. And it's reasonable to assume that the vehicle they're going to be making is an SUV, since that's the platform that Rivian, they built it for their truck and SUV. So I don't think you would want to put that onto a car, with a big heavy platform like that. So probably going to be an SUV. And Rivian's CEO already confirmed that it would be a Lincoln SUV, and it would be coming around 2022. So he let the cat out of the bag a little early. So I'm inclined to believe that's what it's going to be. And 2022 also lines up. Again, you're going to have that new Hummer EV end of 2021, and then maybe a few months later you'll have Lincoln with their electric SUV here. So going to be crazy for all of you who can afford these very expensive, probably nearly $100,000 luxury electric SUVs. You'll have lots of choices here in just about a year and a half or 2 years. So interesting to hear all that, and should be good competition for that Hummer. There's also, speaking of the Hummer, there's hope that some of this stuff could be a little bit more affordable, and that they're not all going to be $100,000 vehicles. Chevy did surprise us with cheaper than expected pricing for the Corvette for 2020 and stuff. So anything's possible. And speaking of price cuts, and Rivian actually, they recently announced that their R1T truck and R1S SUV will be cheaper than the roughly $70,000 price tags they originally had planned for them. How much cheaper, they didn't say yet. They just said it's going to be less. So we'll have to wait, but I don't think it's going to be a huge drop. I think they might be a little bit motivated by the Tesla Cybertruck, which, starts at like $40,000 for the base one and then goes up for those higher ones. So, maybe we'll see something in like mid to high 50s, but that would be a big cut from the original planned price of about 70 grand. So we'll have to wait and see on all that. But unlike the Tesla, which is about 2 years away for the Cybertruck, the Rivian is actually, they're planning to start deliveries by the end of this year. So it'll be very interesting to see, if that extra year head start helps out Rivian before the Tesla arrives. Other stuff, 2 weeks ago, I talked about the Genesis GV80 review, and you can go watch that video if you want to hear all my thoughts on that. But Motor Trend this week had a report about another SUV they claim is coming for the Genesis brand, and this is an all-electric one. That's a little bit of a curveball. So they talked with the global head of Genesis, who confirmed it is coming next year, and we know a smaller GV70 SUV is coming this year too, and that's already been spied pretty clearly, I think actually running around the Nürburgring. Unfortunately, I don't have the rights to show you those images, but you can go to the KoreanCarblog.com. They have all kinds of spy shots of that, and also some other stuff. There's a Kia Sorento spied this week. Don't have rights to show those images either, but that should be coming out fairly soon, I think. But anyway, GV70 you can see there if you're curious. But anyway, so there's that, and then they're saying they're going to have 3 SUVs here in the next 2 years. So it's the GV80 that just came out, GV70, and then this electric one. And while an EV SUV is a great idea, and obviously as we can see with Lincoln and everybody else, there's lots of companies jumping on this bandwagon. But I'm surprised they're not trying to make a Genesis version of the Hyundai Palisade and Kia Telluride, since they're wildly popular, and 3-row SUVs in particular are super popular recently. And so, doing that I think would have made a lot more sense, especially for a luxury brand, have something to compete with the BMW X7, Mercedes GLS, stuff like that. And they potentially still could, and there's even a possibility maybe this electric one will be the 3-row, big, huge crossover for Genesis, possibly called the GV90. But Motor Trend seems to think it's going to be a mid-sized crossover, but they already have the GV80, so having an electric model that's completely different but the same size as the GV80 would seem a little weird to me. So maybe they'll just use that extra length of a big, long GV90 to load it up with batteries batteries and have that be their electric thing. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, an interesting report there nonetheless. And for all of you that are annoyed with all these electric SUV stories, I have one more and then we'll move on to the fun stuff. So this last SUV story here comes from Autocar, and they're reporting that Volvo confirmed to them that they'll be launching a fully electric version of the next-gen Volvo XC90 in 2022. So I guess that's around, when we can expect the next-gen version of the XC90, and it'll have an electric version. And so along with that, Volvo's boss confirmed that at least for Europe, another 40 series model will be coming beyond the XC40. So, they had like the V40 and the S40 a while back, and those have been discontinued for a while. So I think that might be what he's talking about, because their boss told Autocar that Volvo realized the need for another small premium car. And I think obviously because they're seeing that now you have the A-Class, the A3, the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe, all this kind of stuff coming out. And I think Volvo would probably like to play in that field as well. And so hopefully they bring it to the US. That would be cool. And so anyway, interesting to hear that little report. But now on to the sports car stories of the week. So Porsche already revealed their Super Bowl commercial here for this Super Bowl Sunday. And it's a cool car chase video called The Heist. And it promotes the Taycan. And it's a cool video. But Car and Driver discovered a hidden glimpse of the next-gen 911 GT3 at around the 43-second mark, where you can see a light blue 992 that has the obvious GT3 huge wing and center lock wheels. Very clearly, that's what that is. And I'm not sure when we're going to see a debut for this. Everyone seems to think that the 911 Turbo is going to come before the GT3 as far as reveals and rollouts and stuff. So probably one of them will come at Geneva here, in March. It could be the GT3 since they're already teasing that. They're not teasing the Turbo version, but could be something later on this year. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, interesting to see at least a little glimpse of that. And other stuff here. Last week, I talked about how Alfa Romeo is planning for a new model reveal in June in Milan for the 110th birthday of Alfa Romeo. And so Mopar insiders this past week may have uncovered what that car could be potentially. Their sources claim that Alfa is working on a higher performing, lighter version of the Giulia Quadrifoglio that could be called the GTA. And it's not for the video game. That A is Italian for a word that means lightweight. So it's going to be a lighter version. They say it's going to be about 44 pounds lighter than the lightest Quadrifoglios in Europe are. But the big news is they claim it's going to have 620 horsepower, which would be a full 115 horsepower leap over the Quadrifoglio's 505 horsepower it currently makes. So that is a big bump. Even by Mopar standards, that is a huge jump in power. And so they're saying it could be a limited production, limited edition type car, which would really be a shame, because if they bump that motor to 620 horsepower, I've never even driven the standard Giulia Quadrifoglio. I did the Stelvio Quadrifoglio, but I can't imagine how crazy a Giulia Quadrifoglio with 620 horsepower would be. That's just like mind-blowingly awesome, I'm sure. And it might not even come to the United States. There's talks that it could just be a European-only model or something, so we'll have to wait and see. Fingers crossed it comes to the States and it's not insanely expensive or super, super rare, but I have a feeling it'll be both. But anyway, cool they're doing it nonetheless, and again, as a rumor, we'll have to wait and see if that develops. And if it is going to be a June reveal, then we have a half a year to wait still, so we'll have to see. Other FCA news here, though, is they revealed their Uconnect 5 infotainment system here. They're going to be rolling out to some new, all of the new FCA products this year eventually. And so it's now running the Android operating system, and they say it's 6 times more powerful than the old system, which should make it faster as well as adding additional capabilities. So it now does wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, full Amazon Alexa assistant integration. It has 2 simultaneous Bluetooth connections as being an available option. So you can have, streaming from 2 different phones, which would be handy. You can also have real-time map updates from TomTom, along with up to 5 different driver profiles, and those save your climate settings, radio settings, that kind of stuff. Appearance-wise, it gets this new home screen with customizable widgets, as well as the classic shortcuts at the bottom of the screen that FCA kind of pioneered and has been copied by many other companies since, and as an easy way way to navigate. The icons, the colors, and fonts are all new as well, and they are going to be unique for each FCA brand, so they're going to have different distinct looks, but have the same functionality. And so that's all sounds very good. It's going to have over-the-air updates as well, and it can support screens as large as 12.3 inches, as well as working in landscape, portrait, or square screen orientations. So regardless of what kind of car it is, whether the Ram, which has those super tall screens, or some type of widescreen thing, it can work with whatever. And so anyway, hope we can see that here rolling out in some new stuff soon. I think Mopar Insiders is thinking the first rollout's going to be in the new Pacifica, which could be coming in the next couple of months here. That might be the first application of this infotainment system. So looks like a great improvement to me. Uconnect's always been one of my favorite systems, so good to see that. Toyota this week has teased new variants for their portfolio that will be debuting at the Chicago Auto Show next month, and they say the forecast for the Windy City looks sporty and outdoorsy with a touch of nocturnal mischief. So the picture shows the Tacoma, but they already have the TRD Off-Road and TRD Pro versions for those who want to get into any kind of sporty and outdoorsy mischief. But the nocturnal part makes me think this will be like a black package. So maybe they'll do some type of blacked out version. The TRD Pro is already blacked out, so maybe this will just make the lower TRD Off-Road version, give it like an optional black appearance package or something like that. That's my best guess, because otherwise I'm not sure what else they can do as far as an off-road version of the Tacoma beyond the two they already have. But we'll have to wait and see, and we'll find out next month. The last news story here this week, going along with that Lincoln Rivian announcement, Lincoln at the end of the press release briefly mentioned that the MKZ sedan will end production this year in order for the plant to prepare for production of new Ford vehicles. And so we knew the MKZ was dying off because it's based on the same platform as the Fusion, and the Fusion we know is getting killed off because Ford's getting rid of all their sedans, and Lincoln is going that way as well, although they also have the Continental still, but that probably won't live too much longer either. We'll have to see on that one, but MKZ is dying this year. They actually told Autoblog a little bit more of the specifics for this timeline. They say production is going to end at the middle of this year, and there won't be a 2021 model year, but they'll have enough stock to last for all year for sales. And they say that this is in order to make room for the plant to prepare for production of new Ford vehicles. And this plant's in Mexico, and I think I'm pretty sure the Mach-E is going to be built in Mexico, so maybe this is in line with that switchover. I'm not sure. But it's a bummer, though, because I actually really always liked the design of the MKZ, and I never got a chance to review one, but I always kind of liked them, especially the 2013 and 2016s. I thought those were really beautiful cars. And so, hopefully the Continental gets some type of momentum and lives a little bit longer, but it looks like Lincoln is going to go just like Ford with all SUVs here in the future. Kind of a bummer, especially since Lincoln has always had a sedan in their lineup forever. It's going to be kind of crazy. But anyway, interesting to hear that. But yes, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So let me know your thoughts and everything in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.